Good afternoon, everyone. So let's call our meeting to order. I think there are a couple of absentees that are not going to be here. I think Alan is a vacant spot right now. And we have a new member, Mr. D. Mr. McDonald, Mr. M then. Sorry, messing around. So we have a new member, but there's 3 of us, so there's quorum out of 5 potential. So I'm calling the meeting to order and like to review the agenda and adopt the agenda. If there are a motion to adopt the agenda.
Make a motion that we approve the agenda.
And I'll second the motion, and all in favor say
Aye.
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 No nays.
Aye.
Your nay option. Did everyone have a chance to read the minutes from our last meeting? It's been quite a while since we met, since November. So, any questions about the minute, or can we approve the minutes as presented?
Great haircut. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from November.
Second.
And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Minutes approved. That was quick. Public comment and introduction. Is that you? City.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
me.
Public comment and introduction. So before we do this, is there any public input or
Nope, I
comment
haven't
that we
received any.
Okay, good. So we have Dana.
That's me. Thank you, everyone. I'm happy to be here tonight. I didn't prepare anything formally, so hoping to have just a two-way conversation, but I'll just throw some stuff out and we can kind of go from there if that works for you all. So I'm Dana Hardy. I'm the city manager here in Victoria and have been serving the community in this role since 2019. So just sneaking up on year 5. And it has not slowed down. So as you know, Victoria is a growing community. We're a very fast growing community. And a lot of what I'm going to share with you is going to focus on that growth. And I'm going to try to tie it back to some of the things that hopefully might excite you and things for you to be thinking about. So I think for us, one of the most exciting pieces of news that we have gotten this year is that our Highway 5 improvements, which are much needed, are going to get funded. We're about 85% funded. I'm looking at Commissioner Uderman because the county has been a really great advocate and partner with all of our communities. So the cities of Chanhassen, Chaska, Victoria, Carver County, along with MnDOT and the Arboretum, have been the primary stakeholders in pursuing that funding to bring the much needed improvements to Highway 5. I'm sure you've all experienced sitting in traffic in rush hour or even on weekends, all the backups, it's brake lights as far as you can see. So we have not had any significant improvements for 70 years. On the corridor. So there have been minor improvements and safety improvements here and there, but this is really going to be setting forward a vision from basically 41 in Chanhassen all the way to where the Dairy Queen is, or 11 jogs north. And so we basically took a 20-year improvement schedule and consolidated it into about a 5 to 7 year period. And we've been able to do that because of the funding that we've secured. Commissioner Uderman, the other county commissioners, the mayors of our community, Lyndon, the county engineer, our city engineer, everybody's been working really hard. We've gone to Washington, D.C. a couple of times. Lots of meetings with our legislators to really focus on bringing the state and federal funding to make this project happen. So I'm sharing that because there's going to be some impacts to downtown Victoria during those projects, and so I want you to know that we're going to be working very closely as with our community as a city. Of course, the project is going to have its own communication people, and there's going to be a lot happening through the county because they are going to be taking the lead on the projects, but we know that the impacts in Victoria are going to be different than the other communities. And so our team is going to be doing a lot of our own outreach and coordination, making sure that the needs of your patrons at the library are being met. And so we want to make sure that people can access us, they know where to park, they know how to get here, they know what's open, they know what's closed. And then we're also going to be, our team's going to be working with everybody to see if there are ways that we can drive people, give them reasons to be here. How do we partner and collaborate as a business community, as downtown businesses, as downtown organizations to bring people here when we know there's going to be disruption. So we anticipate working very closely with the county team and with the library on whether it's activities or programs and giving people a reason to be here and then helping drive that traffic here. So that'll be, those conversations will be ramping up here shortly. And one of the things that we're going to be kicking off at the end of this month is what we're going to call we're working on the branding. We want it to be something catchy so people know what to come. But we're going to be having some regular transportation improvement project updates at a council workshop. They'll be periodic, and we want to get to the point where the community knows, all right, they're going to be having a meeting, we're going to come and we're going to ask our questions and we're going to have the people in the room that are going to be able to answer those questions. Or say, we're going to get that information for you and we're going to bring it back. So we want that to, outside of the open houses that are going to be happening, really have that be a two-way conversation and a two-way street. Shows that we're listening as a community, we care. And we also know that there are great ideas when you engage the community. Maybe people have ideas on how to navigate or how to drive, and we want to make sure that we're having that two-way conversation. So we invite you all to come to those conversations when they're happening too. But we'll be kicking off our first one on the 22nd. So very excited about that. And I'm happy to take any questions on transportation itself. Otherwise, I don't know if you have anything that you want to add from your county lens.
It's your table, baby.
So, all right.
So is it the goal to start when it's the season?
Yeah, so the goal would be to start as soon as possible. So 24, you're going to start seeing some projects.
Okay.
Maybe not necessarily on Highway 5, but we're really looking at creating opportunities, improvements on other roads that are going to create those relief valves. So we have a place to direct traffic. 82nd Street, so behind the Arboretum, is one of those roads that's gravel on a large portion of it, and in our view a very important connection for east-west and will serve as a relief valve. So we've got to work on that first. We're also looking at making some improvements at some of the intersections, and then Marsh Lake Road, we're going to be looking at a roundabout there this year as well. So trying to make sure that we're not creating congestion in other places. So it's been, probably 2 years in really detailed conversations about what those projects look like and the timing of those projects to make sure we're not creating other headaches and issues. But
Just out of curiosity, is it going from one lane each way to 2 lanes each way, or how is the broadening of it?
yeah, it eventually will be 2 lanes in each direction, so 4 lanes.
Right.
But it'll be phased. So there'll be portions that will get built out to the 4 lanes right away, and then there'll be portions, for example, probably immediately in downtown that won't be 4 lanes for some time unless we get some magic funding to make that happen.
Yeah, there's not room really, is there?
There is room.
There is room, okay.
Yep. So it's exciting. In a lot
Get
of
mini
ways, it's
cars,
exciting.
you get rooms.
We also recognize that there's going to be pain points. So our goal is through that disruption to make those pain points that are inevitable less painful. So, great question. All right. I'll move on. The other thing that's happening, kind of growth driven, and it is exciting for us, is our new fire station. So our fire station right now is located just across Highway 5. You probably all drive by it or know where it is. You maybe even have visited it on one of our open houses. Our fire station is connected to our water treatment plant, so it looks very big. It's not very big. It's about half that size. Most of those are bays. That building is 44 years old. So when you look at the building, it looks brand new.
I was
And-
going to say, we had a meeting there once. I thought it was new.
Yeah, we did, I think in 2016 or 2017, around that time frame, we did some, like a facelift on some architectural things on the front of the building to just give it a fresh new look when we did the water treatment expansion. But when you think about fire service and how much has changed in 40 years, there's a lot of attention on the health and safety of firefighters that just wasn't in those conversations at the time those fire stations were being designed 40 years ago. We've learned so much. And so there are a lot of deficiencies in that space. And when we think about how we're going to serve our community, some of the conversations that we were having is, okay, Victoria is a growing community. We are set to be the largest community. When we are fully grown, we will surpass Waconia, Chanhassen, Chaska. It's hard to imagine, but that's the kind of thinking and planning that we need to be looking at when we're thinking about these future facilities, which will serve our community for 50 plus years. And so when we look at the constraints that we have, if you can visualize where the fire station is, there's some wetlands over there. There's some topography issues. You've got the water treatment plant. There's giant storage tanks underneath that. So we were really constrained with not being able to expand in a way that made sense for us for the long-term need of our community. So we spent a lot of time going back and forth on a community of our size in the future. Do we need one fire station or two fire stations? And looking at all of our facilities. And one of the things that we discovered, and we partnered with the U of M, it's a Resilient Communities Project, RCP, you might have heard of them. So graduate students who come in and do a lot of data digging for you and helping you analyze lots and lots of data to help you make those data-driven decisions. And when we look at our growth pattern, south and west mostly, where our fire station is located today, it would be really, really difficult for us to meet the service levels. So we want to have a truck in 14 minutes to a fire or less. It would be really hard for us to do that as we grew. And so we knew if we found the perfect land in the perfect location, and we did a lot of data things, so you can kind of think of here's where we want to be, and we do the concentric circles kind of around there to make sure you can reach your, like, here's what we can get to in 5 minutes, here's what we can get to in 10 minutes, here's what we can get to in 14 minutes. And so we landed on basically the 18, so 11 and 18 in that corridor. And we ended up negotiating a purchase agreement to purchase 6 acres of land from Holy Family Catholic High School. So on the corner of Cochia and 18 will be the home of our future new fire station. It'll be 30,000 square feet approximately, 7 to 9 bays, and that will serve our community needs for the next 50 years. We think maybe looking at projections, some of it's crystal ball, but some of it's looking at data too. But if the growth continues the way that we believe it's going to continue, there is a possibility that we'll have to add a satellite station out west. But that would be maybe 2 bays, 4,000 square feet of space, so very small. We ended up saving $20 to $30 million for the community by making the decision that we did. So we're in the design process right now. We just kicked that off, and 2025 is when we plan to start construction. So you'll see hopefully more opportunities to use that space. We really want that to be a community space. We'd like to offer programs out of there, CPR classes, maybe story time with the firefighters in the fire station. So maybe think about creative things that how the library can partner with the city and using that space as a community space with our fire department. So that's something exciting for us, but also something that we know from an optics lens is going to be something that we're going to have to really be talking to our community members about, because the building looks so new. But if you were to walk through that building, people are like, oh, yeah, that's really dated. And you've got, you know, when the trucks are fired up, those diesel engines are pouring gas on your turnout gear. That's not a good thing. So, any questions on fire station?
So will you all be replacing the engines also, or?
So we just replaced an engine, and so we just turned that into service this year, this August. It took 3 years to build that, and that replaced an engine that was just over 30 years old. So our next planned, we've been planning for about the last 10 or 15 years, will be a ladder truck. And any guesses on how much a ladder truck costs these days?
$300,000.
A million?
Oh, is it? At least a million.
Yeah, they're pushing $2 million. They're about 1.7 right now, but $2 million is what a ladder truck costs. So we've been.
Those ladders are expensive.
Yeah, they are expensive. they have their benefits, they're expensive, but we've been planning for that, and that's something that as our community grows, as we add commercial spaces, that's something that we'll be looking at doing. Probably, we've got that in our CIP for like 2028 to 2030. So that's on our radar too. The equipment, we wouldn't need to buy new equipment to serve the community with the new fire station. It's really just a facility building. And then one of the questions that we get is, what are you going to do with that fire station? So a couple things. I don't think there have been any final decisions made, but there's been lots of conversations about it. And we have some needs in our community. Our public works facility, the day that it was built, it was full. So even though that's new, we have nowhere to store equipment. Equipment is expensive, and we want to maintain it in good repair and make sure it's not exposed to the elements. So we're being good caretakers in that way. So we have a very old building, our old public works building, just down the road here. Our compost site and our yard waste site, you might know of, pass it on the trail. That building, as soon as the roof won't hold anymore, it's got to go down. It's way past it's 5 years past its end of useful life. But we have so much equipment in there, we have no place to put it. And we're talking $15 million in today's money to do the mirror of our current public works site. And we just don't have the funds to be able to do that in the timeline we need to do that. So we were trying to be creative in how do we use what we have. And so there's been a lot of discussion about when the fire department moves out, taking the storage, moving the storage to where the bays are, all the equipment that's in there. And we don't have any room for our staff our growing public works staff in that building. There's 10 people crammed into a space about this big. And when they are working, taking breaks, needing to respond to emails, do their time cards, things like that. So it's just not really ideal for efficiencies and workflow. So we've talked about moving the utilities department. It's connected to the water treatment plant. That's mainly what their expertise is and what their focus is. So it makes a lot of sense to do that. There's also been conversations about the future of policing in our communities in Carver County. And we've been having partnership discussions with the sheriff for many years on this. What happens when we divorce? We outgrow the model, and it might be a happy divorce, right? But at some point, the cities might say, hey, we want our own police department, and it might be that someday the sheriff will say, yeah, we've outgrown this model and this just doesn't make sense for us. We're not saying that's gonna happen, we're just saying that we recognize that could be a conversation in the future. And so the responsible thing to do is be thinking about and planning for how do you use the spaces that you have today, and that option to repurpose that fire station for a potential future police department. If the community, if the council were to ever make that decision, that gives us flexibility to make that decision too, without having to go build a whole new police department in another facility. So it's about keeping the options open. So then that begs the question, what happens when City Hall outgrows its space? And we already have, we've built out our fire mezzanine, which is the second floor of our fire station, and we moved staff out there. So we have no capacity to add anybody else here in City Hall. And I think we all know that the library we've talked about was kind of a temporary solution. At some point we would have to find a new home for the library. And I think that's something that we're still very committed to and working very closely with the county and the branch here on what are those opportunities? When does it make sense to do that? Where can it be? And so that conversation has been part of all of those facility planning conversations. It might even end up being, all right, well, City Hall people are going to get a new civic campus maybe out at the rec center, and the library is going to stay here. Or maybe that's flip-flopped, or more conversations need to happen, but just it's very much in play, and we're open to creative solutions on what that looks like and hearing what the needs are, and we've had lots of conversations about that. So any questions about growth facilities?
So what is the projected population here in 5 years? Do you have
In
that?
5 years?
Well, growth or percentage?
Yeah.
I just have no idea.
Boy, so our census, 2020 census put us at like 10.5. Based on utility stuff, we're probably pushing 11.8 or 9, 11,800, 11,900. So in 5 years, we're probably gonna be pretty close to that 14 or 15,000 mark. I do anticipate that we're going to start seeing some slower growth in our housing piece as we start moving south, because the next real big development piece for us is basically at the corner of 10 and 11. So where Angler and Victoria Drive or Jonathan on the other side meet, and that's really the area for our commercial growth. So downtown is what you see right now as our commercial area. Our only expansion, we talk about it in terms of tax base expansion, that's commercial, light industrial, medium industrial, is in that 10 and 11 corridor in that corner. And so as we start shifting down growth in that area, I think you're going to start to see more commercial growth and less housing, but there's still opportunity for housing. So right now, we're going to have sketch plats. We're looking at, and this will be interesting too. So right now, as you're going down, our growth is happening south, going towards Carver, and you're probably seeing a lot of housing going up now. So there's the housing that's going up closest to the railroad tracks are there are about 112 single-family rental units. So those are all rental, they're not owner-occupied. And we are going to be talking to the property owner that's just on the other side of the railroad tracks now. They're going to be coming before us in January here on the 22nd to talk about our first affordable, truly affordable housing project. So we're looking at 40 to 60% AMI, so area median income. And they're looking at about 120 unit apartment building, and then 120 approximately townhomes that are rental. And we've worked really hard with them to present a sketch plat that we recognize this is going to set the tone. We don't want to create two different Victorias, north of the railroad tracks, and you live south of the railroad tracks. So the things that drew people here to Victoria in the first place, the natural amenities, the beautiful landscapes, the rolling hills, all those things that people say is unique to Victoria. We want to make sure that as we continue to go on the other side of the railroad tracks, we're carrying forward those community characteristics and making sure we're not creating two separate Victorias. And so the developer has really been great. Like the first plan that they showed us, it was like, it's a bunch of townhomes and a bunch of driveways, and what we hear is people really want to connect with those rolling hills. Don't come in and just flatten everything. And so they've actually presented something that I'm excited to hear what the community thinks, because they've created basically this open space that goes, this green space that goes throughout the entire development. So even though you have the same number of townhome developments, every house, or townhomes there, every house that is in that development is going to back up and or look onto open space or wooded tree stands. How beautiful. And that's going to connect directly into our commercial space. And as we start talking about what is that commercial space, what's important to us, what we're hearing from the community, walkability, creating that pedestrian experience. And so we know that Victoria isn't going to be, even though we're going to have commercial and industrial and retail in a different area that's outside of downtown, we know that we're not going to be a community that has a bunch of big box stores. So we're really focusing on that pedestrian experience in that space too, and hoping that we can really make opportunities to connect and have that be, let's give people a reason north of the tracks to go south of the tracks, and vice versa. And how do we make sure that we're bringing programs to that space and partnering with all the people that we love to partner with, you guys included, on making that space special for people, connecting people to nature, connecting people to each other, connecting people to amenities and commercial growth and all that other stuff. So we're very excited about that.
But you still need a grocery store, right?
We do, and we are working on that. We're having more conversations. I cannot tell you how many times we've had conversations. We've had so many conversations. But that is like the number one thing that we hear. We would love to have a grocery store. We just were contacted by another grocer who actually reached out. I cannot tell you who it is. But I'm feeling really good about that they reached out to us. When you look at like people, it's trade area. They look at trade area. So who are they drawing from? And the terms we hear is we need heads and beds. So the more density that you have, the better chance, because for them, it's a business, it's a math equation. For us, it's a nice amenity and it rounds out our community. And so we have worked really hard, and every development we get, we're like, can you bring us a grocer? But yeah, and now with Mac and Thunes going up on 7, we're like, oh, that's gonna hurt. But we're working on it. And feeling good about the recent conversations. So
What's going on 7?
Mac and Thunes is
By Minnetrista there?
yeah, right on that.
What is that? Is that a grocery shop?
It's a grocery. They're in Waconia right now, so local grocer, and they're gonna right at the roundabout.
Okay.
They're building right now. So
Yeah, I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
I saw the sign.
I was going to quip that since Chaska got Costco, you might get Sam's Club.
I don't know if we want big box, but maybe if the opportunity presents itself. But and we also know that the railroad track is there, and so as we think about our light industrial, medium industrial, I think there's conversations to be had about, do we leverage that as an asset in our community rather looking at it as a barrier? And so I think there's more conversations to be had about that. All right, I know I'm taking way too much time. I get very excited about these things. So
What's happening?
lots and lots happening. I think, I'll let you get on to the rest of your stuff. I'm happy to answer anything, but one of the things that I'll just share with you is that we're really just leaning into the talented staff we have, but also the talented community that we have. And one of the things that all the programs that we're offering and the engagement, we're just really leaning into engagement. We want to do more with meeting people where they're already gathering. Everybody's so busy. And so one of the things that we've talked about is breaking down the barriers of government. It can be really scary to see people sitting at the dais and having to come into a meeting. And we try to make things as welcoming as possible, but we also recognize that people are busy and they don't always have the ability to grab a babysitter. Maybe they're caretaking a parent and it's hard for them to get away. So how do we start connecting with people where they're already gathering? And so that's something that we're really leaning into this year. We've got a lot of ideas floating around, and so and really looking at partnering with people. One of the things that I'm excited about, and I'm going to put in a plug, is our Citizens Academy. It's something unique that we're doing. You hear about Citizens Academies a lot of times with police departments. The Sheriff's Office offers one. You don't really see them on city operations side. And the people who work here love what they do. They're very, very passionate about what they do, and they love to share that with people. And so we offer a Citizens Academy, which you've participated. You were in COVID, so you might have to come and do it in person. But it's really meant to be an interactive 6-week program. It used to be 5 weeks, but people love it and have asked for more time. And you get a behind-the-scenes interactive look at things. So, for example, have you ever wondered what poop looks like going through your sewer? Yep. So we televise our sewer lines, and you can actually see, and that's like everybody's favorite class.
You're not telling me.
So that is everybody's favorite class.
Things I've never wondered.
Yep. And so the other, you get the water treatment plant, getting to go behind there, getting to be in a fire truck. There's just all sorts of different things. And then at the end, we do a budget exercise. So we kind of walk you through all the cool things that you've talked about wanting to do and everything. And of course, we're not going to give you enough money to do everything. So you all get to be city council members and get to make those decisions. So so it's kind of fun. We try to make it interactive. It's not just like talking head like I am here tonight. We just try to have a good time with that. One of my favorite sessions is Miles. I don't know if you know him. He used to work at the Historical Society. He's now a traveling history teacher. The best storyteller. I could listen to him for hours. If you're ever looking for a really cool program, and he's got he does things like he'll talk about the fur trade and very interactive. But he comes in and kind of sets the stage for the history of Victoria, and he'll come in his 3-piece tweed suit, bowler hat, feathers, the cool mustache. I mean, he looks the part. He's just a fabulous storyteller, and it is like hands down my favorite session. So, but would love for all of you to participate if that's something that interests you. We would love to have you and give you an opportunity to just get a sneak peek in what we do day to day. So, any questions for me?
My takeaway was the poop in Victoria doesn't smell, right?
It doesn't, not when you're looking at it on television.
We are in the midst of the most aggressive decade of the county's history. The next 20 years will shape the next 200 years of our county. And Dana is leading the charge here. There's been some stall-outs with past mayors and other leadership, and when Dana came in, she says, we're going to brand it well, we're going to open up communication, we're going to lead as if we're planning for the next 200 years. And so your updates are just a scratch of the surface of all the things that you've prepared. And I know as a county partner, we meet quarterly with updates and different things. She makes it look easy, but I know it's anything but. There's been some contentious elections, there's been other things, so you do a great job.
We got a great team. We have a really great team, and we've got great partners. So,
Great.
Thanks, Dana.
thanks everyone. It's going to get warm in here as you're feeling. There's a little bit of a heating issue, so it's going to get really hot.
Yep.
and then it'll get really cold. So
Is that
things
how you
like,
got to
is
get
it
out?
like we got to get out of here?
Yeah, it's time
It'll
to
cool
leave.
off. So
Move the
Thank
meeting
you.
along.
thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
Dana.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks for inviting me.
It was a pleasure.
Charles, did we want to have Serena do her adult services
Yeah, can do that.
update? Would you like to?
So we're
Sure,
gonna
that's fine.
Cut to, is that the story time? No,
7-1.
7-1. Okay. Hey, Serena. Hi, go ahead.
I'm Serena Ethier, Adult Services Librarian in Waconia and the Team Chair for Adult Services. I don't know if you all got to see the beautiful report I prepared.
Yes, it did.
I have a hard copy.
Sure. It highlights some of the things that we've been working on, our strategic tasks, and all the great programs we've done throughout 2023. Just to go over that a little bit, we had over 13,000 adults attend programs at a Carver County Library program. That includes 65% of those were recorded virtual events, people watching those at home whenever they want to. So that's a great thing that we have that's available where you can watch on social media or pull it up on YouTube. You didn't get to see the author talk, but a couple nights later you can turn it on and watch that. We also have Jobs and Small Business classes, which are funded from MELSA, the Metropolitan Area Library Service Agency. And our system has higher attendance than any of the other metro library systems, so go Carver. And I attribute most of that to Susan Bernstein is really great at sending out emails, reminding people that those programs are going on, and they are just really great classes. We also have Winter Reads, which is going on right now. We have it every year, January to February. Last year we had over 280 participants, and we're on track to have that many and hopefully more this year. I just brought our little packet that we give out. This is one of our components to Winter Reads. It has, I don't want to open it because it's all sealed up. It has a puzzle pen, origami paper, and then a bunch of puzzles, Sudoku, crossword, all kinds of different things. It's kind of themed on a snow day. So what do you want to do when it's a snow day? Just cozy up with a book, do some puzzles,
It's gonna be
drink
tough.
some
We've been waiting
cocoa.
for a snow day.
Yeah, I know. When are we gonna get one? And then just some of our goals that we had and what we did to accomplish those. We developed a new way to gather the data that we get from our evaluations, so it's easier to see at a glance what people are looking for, how they've heard about us. So it's going to be easier for us going forward to plan programs that people are looking for, and also to market those in ways that we know they will see. We've reached out to underserved communities and to be inclusive of new library users. I've worked with the Waconia Senior Center, started up a book club there, also adding Nagel Assisted Living to our outreach delivery and New Perspectives. Chanhassen and Victoria worked with City Connections to tailor programs for seniors. And the Seed Library, which started as a Dulkey project, keeps expanding, expanded to all of our libraries and is going to keep going. It's a great way for people to preserve those heirloom seeds and get fresh food out of your garden. With Dulkey grant funds, we were able to explore a variety of health-related programs. According to evaluations from those participants, over 30% had never attended a library program before, so that kind of shows you that we were reaching a new audience and that people are kind of looking for those kind of programs. And attendees of the yoga programs noted that they enjoyed the connections they made with other participants. We also have another year of Next Chapter Book Club in Watertown. which is a regular group of 8 individuals with disabilities that meets twice a month. They read and have a discussion. I'm the backup for that, so I get to go every once in a while, and it's just an amazing group. They're so much fun, and they're really good readers. I'm so proud of them. We have arts in April, games and gatherings, music in May, all great programs we have. And of course, we couldn't do all the programs we do without our community partners. We've worked with Career Force, Carver County Financial Assistance, Historical Society, Master Gardeners, Public Health, all the senior facilities, and local nonprofit One Love Yoga is our great partner in Chanhassen providing those yoga programs. That was the fast version of it. Any questions or anything you wanted to know more about?
I'll offer a comment. So I don't know if you saw this. Serena and I work together in the same building. This was one of the customer comments. So we have a comment box out at the front door, right? And so on January 5th, best, coolest pen I've never had.
Never had.
Never had. Thanks, guys, for services. Were you treated courteously? Yes. Did you find what you needed? Yes, very much so. Happy New Year.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious about the pen.
I know.
Okay, well, let's see it. Somebody's going to have to take this home now. Who likes to do puzzles?
They all have them, of course.
It's got a little maze with balls, and you can while away the hours working on your
You could
maze.
just be doing this and not work.
That's right.
I'm the one with the kids.
So stop by your local.
That's great.
Seen them, I suppose.
I may have seen one, yes.
Quite
That's
fun,
good.
but
That's really
anyone
cool.
can pick these up. They're just a free handout that we have our Winter Reads info in there as well, but
I got the gist.
you got the
Looks
gist.
cool.
Yes.
Yes.
And of course, we branded it, so
Would
we all know
entertain me
where
for
you got it from.
Oh, you guys got it branded with the...
Yes, it's Carver County Library and the website on there.
Yeah.
Notice she
Oh, nice.
They couldn't fit the logo, so close enough.
That's good.
Thank you.
You're
You
welcome.
can give you the package to him. He's got
He's gonna need that. You're the lucky owner.
I accept. It feels,
We are-
feels like it's less than $5.
Thank you, Serena. We are all over the place because I'm going to do 2 things ahead of all the orders right now. Is introduce a new person
Sounds
in
great.
our cohort here. Why don't you go ahead, introduce yourself, and what's up?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Dr. D. McDonald. Just moved to Waconia last year. I'm a vice president of enrollment and marketing at Crown College. And we love being in Carver County.
Where did you move from?
We moved from Florida. So we've done 2 stints here in Minnesota. So we're originally from Indiana, then lived in Illinois, about an hour south of Chicago for 15 years. Then we moved here for the first time. We lived in Champlin, just north of Maple Grove. Really loved the community there. So much so that we loved Minnesota enough the first time that after going to Florida for 5 years, we actually moved back to Waconia. So I live in Waconia and really excited about being a part of this group and contributing, doing what I can to help.
Thanks, welcome.
Where are you from in Indiana?
LaPorte, Indiana.
That's north.
Yep, about 10 minutes, 10 miles off Lake Michigan.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the place that gets dumped on whenever it gets lake effect. Yeah,
So this isn't a shock to you
No.
then for the cold?
no,
When you said Florida, I went like, whoa.
no.
And the other one is, I'm going to jump to him. He has to leave at 5:30, so I want to give him an opportunity, Matt, to give an opportunity to give us an update.
So welcome. I just wanted to comment, one of the coolest things about the library board is that when we go to the different cities and get to see the different libraries, we get to hear from the different leadership. And so during the course of a year, you'll go to all the cities. It's intentional. We've actually adopted that at the MELSA level. I'm the chair of the board of MELSA, which is a regional library system. 103 libraries report up to it. And a lot of the function of MELSA is to pass through the dollars to the local library. Some of the function of that is to joint buy some of the things that are going on. So if we talk about MELSA, that's the regional library system. That's a mechanism to get dollars to the local libraries. And so we've adopted the round robin and going to different libraries, and it's been great to see the different perspectives. So I wanted to comment on that. Also was excited to see your application come in. We do have a quality board, and we've got a lot of different perspectives. And I pride myself on where we're at with the diversity of a lot of our boards. There's a lot of people that look a little different than they did 10 years ago. Sometimes Carver County gets faulted for being, the white boys club that has been here forever, generationally and otherwise. And I think that this library board represents the change of what Carver County is looking like. And I appreciate you being here as a transplant. I came here from Iowa by way of New York, and it's a little bit harder to break in sometimes to Minnesota. Not only the winners, but people have their high school friends and their college friends, and so thank you for being here. Couple things. I was pretty excited last week as I saw people post what books they read in 2023. I had a friend that read 84 books last year. I had somebody that had a goal of reading 1 book a week, and I'm like, that is a ferocious reading. I could never get to that, and I know there's others that read even more than that. And almost every one of them said they've used the Libby app, right? The digital version of that. And so wanted to call that out because that bleeds into a conversation. Bob Lincoln, myself, Jody were in last week. Was there somebody else on our side at the table? Was it just us from county?
Yep.
In partnership with Eastern Carver County District 112, 60% of the school-aged kids in Carver County go to District 112. So it is the largest school presence within our county. Bob and his team have done an instrumental job working with District 110, trying to get every kid a library card. And so we said, let's knock on the door of the big behemoth and see if we can make this happen. And it's looking very possible and very fruitful. Leadership all the way up to the interim superintendent said, let's make this happen. Something I'm calling every student. So there's a lot of things that go in the middle, data privacy and logistics and all the other thing, but the ideal is that we can get a library card in the hands of every single student. Number 1, so they have greater access. Number 2, so we can close learning gaps. And number 3, which I didn't intend this to be the case, but there might even be cost savings where we have redundant use of catalogs that the school district's paying for and we're paying for or MELSA's paying for, and we don't need to have that level of redundancy. And so the meeting was great, and we'll know more in 4 weeks because we have to get through the logistics of what that normally means, but great appetite at the table for that. Also, I don't know if anybody saw it in the Star Tribune, but there was a headline that said something like Hennepin County bans people from their library. And it was a reminder for me, not the word ban, because I know newspapers like to key in on the word ban. I mean, they still quote this library board. I mean, I've seen 16 different media outlets outside of our state that have talked to the conversation that we had about a book that was challenged. An individual from Waconia brought it forth, and the board upheld that we're going to keep that book in our adult section. And so we've kind of been oh my gosh, that conservative Carver County didn't ban the book. And so anyway, the book ban came to play, but what the conversation or the article was about was there's people that are leveraging library for services well beyond books. Books are a very important piece of the equation, but people are finding that as a place for mental health respite. They're finding that a place to sleep and so on and so forth. And so it's not lost on us that the library isn't just books and a shelf. It's not just the greeting and the warmth that you have, but it is a home for some people at certain periods of time. And that's become a focal point for us. And I'm looking towards you, higher education and all that. I'm looking to leverage MELSA to get mental health as an item on our equivalent on the legislative side within libraries to say, we need to look at this differently in the next decade or two. And so you'll see more of that coming. Our theme last year will spill over to this year with MELSA, which is expanded access, and that comes in a lot of different ways. And then lastly, there's just been some really primitive conversations on the heels of what Dana said. I think people are ripe to listen to different things right now, particularly if you look at Chaska. Last year, the taxes were up year over year 20%, this year 17%. Victoria is going to tax heavily because of their growth, Carver, et cetera. So we're just minimally looking into what it might look like to have a regional library. Versus everybody having an old separate one. And it doesn't mean to scare anybody, that doesn't mean to encourage anybody, it simply means to say, would it be prudent to at least look at this? Because a traditional library, how we operate is the cities pay for the building, and then the county fills it and staffs it. And so if we look at what it might look like to serve a larger community with a bigger building that can have more services attached to it, that's at least worth a discussion that might actually lead to savings within different communities. And so I don't want to get the cart ahead of the horse, but I do want to be transparent to say, like, you might be brought into some of those conversations. Chaska was supposed to build in 26, open in 27. Their budget has now pushed that to build in 28, open in 29. And I think anybody that's been attached to the library system for more than 3 years scratches their head and says, how much further are they going to kick the can, right? And so I said, maybe it's time to look at different conversations given the fact that it got delayed two more years. So those are my updates. I'm stand for any questions if anybody has questions for me at the board level or on the Melsa side.
You're talking so fast, I'm like 2 paragraphs behind you.
Yeah,
But we got it.
good.
Yeah, but, yeah, interesting. So the Chaska news is very interesting. When I came on the board 8 years ago, I remember Heidi saying, in the next couple of years, we're
Yeah.
building a new library, and here we are.
Yep. Yep.
But
Yeah,
it
the
makes sense.
financial constraints, if you look at the eastern part of the county, there's an estimated $500 million of civic investment, whether it's the new city hall for City of Victoria and the surrounding potential ICE, everything that Dana talked about, City of Chaska is talking about a public safety building, and it's $200 million plus a community center. It's another $70 million. We're going to look cheap if we come in with a $70 or $80 million refresh to the government center. These are big dollars, and they all have an aggregate impact. The school district is looking to potentially go out for a referendum in 2025. There's not enough wallet
Yeah.
to pay for all of it. And so we have to get creative on some of the things that we're doing so that we don't wake up in 10 years and say we have another aging building that hasn't been touched for another 10 years. I'm sure you guys are experiencing growth pains and what that means and the changes and the trajectory and all that other stuff. So I just offer that kind of as an update. Yeah, I talk fast and add a lot of stuff, but that we're looking and working on things that are bigger than just some mundane stuff once in a while, looking out in the future and how we can best impact it. So.
So from a cash flow perspective, how much is it that you guys are planning to rely on, like the state and federal government?
Yeah, we had a legislative priorities breakfast today, sat next to Rep. Rame. We had all of our state reps there, a couple state senators, and then Tom Emmer, who's our congressman, was represented by proxy. Right now, about 80% of our levy goes towards headcount. Whether it's levy or non-levy funded, it's equivalent about 80%. If you look at the projections out 10 years, that goes up to over 100%. And a lot of that state unfunded mandates, we hear that a lot. And so we have to get smart and creative as to how we're going to tackle this. I'll give you an example. Our county's growing like this. You know, you don't need another commissioner, another sheriff like that. That actually gets cheaper as your population grows on a per capita basis. But there are some services that grow. Mental health is one of the biggest ones. And the reimbursement rate of mental health leads about 80% of that cost to taxpayers by way of their county levy. And these are a lot of unfunded mandates that are coming out of the state government that are coming our way. FMLA and all the things that are coming along with that. Those are significant expenses, not just in dollars. And I know that the heart is true as to why we're doing these things, but just not in dollars, but in staff time and redundancy and all the things. And nobody can escape the fact that the baby boomers are aging out. It leaves about a 20% capacity vacuum thereafter. We simply don't have the bodies to fill the trajectory that we're on right now. At the state level, at the federal level, at the local level, at the employment level. And so I think the answer is we're going to ask more out of people, and hopefully we'll be able to pay them more. You know, that's kind of whether we want to be here or not, we can put our head in the sand, but that's where we're at. And so to answer the question, there's more unfunded mandates. It doesn't seem like that's stopping. I think in 25, 26, when the state government hits a little bit of a cliff that's predicted, that we'll have an awakening and we'll have to make those decisions collaboratively.
I do have to take off.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to head out with you because I got to
Take off early in my first meeting here, but my son has a basketball game and
priorities.
I want to be there. Yep, that's number one, so,
That's important.
yes.
We do have to have elected positions
Thanks, Matt.
because my term is due. So, and then how do you want to do this? If he set it up, we'll just give it
beat
to
me.
him.
You just nominate him as he leaves now.
So we have 3 positions to fill, right? The president and the secretary.
Just the president and the secretary.
Right.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'll open it up. If you can do 5 minutes, we'll try and see if you can get that done. And then you can, out of here.
Sure.
Okay. So I think the process is to get nomination for the position of the president as well as the secretary, assuming the two nominated persons accept the nomination, and then we can quickly do a quick vote on it. So open to nominations. Do you want to be president?
I've done it twice before.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, okay, this is-
Jen, you want to run it? You get the gavel? I'll go buy a gavel for you.
I have my own.
Can I throw out something?
Secretary, for sure, I would like to be, but.
I only have 1 year left on my term.
Right.
Oh, that's.
I've only
I'm
got one
willing
more
to
year
do it
left
for
too.
a year and then have one of these two or you again. I mean,
I
Give
need
you
one
a
more
2
year
year
left.
break.
I got one more year left.
for your first term,
Second
or second
is it?
term?
Yeah.
Okay. So that, I'm just throwing it out as an
Yeah.
option. But if Jan wants it, fine.
Oh, no. No, I don't. I think, would you
So-
take it?
I'll do it for, but I
For 1
roll
year.
off
So I'll
at the end of the
nominate
year.
Gwen for
Okay.
president. And can I get a
It's
second?
really not that
Second.
much work.
Can you
Yes.
second it?
These guys
Yes,
do all the
for-
work.
Okay. Yeah, we don't really do much work. You'll find out that
Yeah.
much, in the sense that we do think.
Should have
when we
led
go
with
through thought
that.
process.
Yeah, you should have started with
Yeah,
that.
we do use our brain. We try to use our
Well, you
brain.
can be ready when I roll off. Or, yeah.
Thank you.
And secretary? Jen, you want to be secretary? I'll nominate Jen for secretary. And can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Are you okay with that, Jen?
Of course.
Okay.
So I didn't catch who actually nominated Gwen.
I did.
Okay, thank you,
And then I
And
maybe second it.
Jen seconded.
thank you.
And then I nominate Jen and Gwen seconded. This is like, insider
Right,
play here. So all in favor of Gwen being president, say aye. Aye.
I,
All say aye. And all in favor of Jen being secretary, all say aye.
Aye.
And all of us did. Motion passed. Baton handed, since I don't need to buy her a gavel.
you want to gavel?
All right. Great
Thanks,
to meet you
Dr. D.
guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you next
So
month.
yeah, maybe next time we can go around and make sure you know who everybody is.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Yes, goodbye.
Thanks,
Have a
have a
good
good
day.
What school is he
Tell
playing
us a
at?
little about ourselves. so.
Yes, he
What's
plays
good?
at Mare Lutheran.
Okay.
So I'm driving down to Le Sueur.
Oh, goodness.
Ooh.
Very fancy.
What time does the game start?
6.
Okay.
Oh,
So
man, go.
I'm driving fast. I need a police escort.
Wow, we were all over the place on today's schedule. Okay, if I follow schedule, I'm back at action items, Chen Hassan's Storytime Project. Now, we have 3 of us, so we do have enough quorum to vote them through. So
Correct.
that's one thing. Should be good to go.
Yes, so I've asked Patrick to speak to this.
There's a write-up there. All we want is to be able to open at 9:30, actually at 9, so we can do a 9:30 story time.
Right.
Because our 10:30 story time is getting too crowded. Doesn't commit we're going to do it, but I want the option to do it. And so I just need you to approve these opening hours.
How,
So there's really 2 story time. Are they both
If
going
you'd be added, no, right now there's one story time at 10:30.
Right.
If you need to add a second one.
At 9:30.
Maybe relieve the pressure off of the 10:30 so it's not so crowded.
Will it be done by both the same
Equally,
storyteller?
we do them both, yes.
Okay.
Yes, you just
Sorry,
do the
you're
same
gonna-
story
and Kate,
time
I was
twice.
just gonna ask, and you can, it can go into place right away.
We've already done the spring brochure, so
Oh,
it would not start
so it
till
won't happen
summer.
until spring?
No, it wouldn't happen until summer,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
oh,
All right.
unless we do something unadvertised, to do it,
Well, that's what yeah, how has it been in the winter?
it's 52 people
Yeah.
there every day.
What's the
I mean,
room
it's good and
capacity?
bad. I mean, just very briefly, how we try to visualize story time is as an early learning experience, an early literacy experience, where it's parents and caregivers both engaged with their kids, and that's hard to do with 60 toddlers in the room.
Yeah. No, I get the concept,
Yeah.
I just wondered what the timing was.
Yeah. Well, we could start it, just announce to the 10:30 families,
Yeah.
beginning tomorrow if you guys approve,
Yeah.
or next Monday, or 22nd, and kick it off right away, or we could wait till summer, or we could maybe decide not to do it. You know, I just want the ability to, if we want to pull the trigger, to know that you guys approve it. We'll approve these opening hours. And again, it's not opening the whole building for public to use, it's only opening the building a little bit earlier, like you did with, earlier with Victoria for baby story time.
So I'll make a motion to approve the Chanhassen Library opening early for story time, TBD when that starts.
And I will second it with enthusiasm.
I just have one more question.
Yeah, go.
Is there any budgetary impact to
No.
this change? Okay. Then, yeah, okay, go ahead.
Let's second it.
So, yeah, we have.
Oh, so all in favor say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm not the president anymore.
Oh, you want me to take over right now?
Okay, just kidding, just kidding.
I'll move it along, yeah.
Go ahead.
I've got a basketball game at
All in
6
favor
too.
say aye. Motion passed. I think we had all the ayes. I'm just having fun. It's my last day. Next item is the RFID project approval. Who's Adrian?
Great, so,
Bob and Kate.
yeah.
Bob and
So,
Kate.
I'm Bob. I'm glad to be here. I just want to say hi again.
I'm Kate, because I'm not Bob.
So, we're here to get your endorsement for the RFID project. I know we sent you a flyer with some basic questions, basic information, it kind of spelled out our process. Basically, the RFID tags are little chips that go in every book. We have 246,000 items tagged. Actually, that number's gone up since the last time we did this. I ran the report, it's maybe 200 more than that. And what that allows us to do is we have self-checks where you can put multiple items on the self-check, and the radio frequency identification is what's read by the hardware, and that's sent to our Symphony software or the software of the vendor that connects to our Symphony ILS. And so it allows us to be more efficient to check out multiple items at once rather than each item individually with a barcode. So less labor, less intense, overuse injuries, that sort of thing, more efficiency, better service. And so we've been working with a vendor for 8 years now. It was approved in 2017 on our self-checks and our staff workstations. And we've run into, just overall challenges over the year and 4 kind of permanent problems that we've not been able to resolve. And those problems have not gotten any better. And we were looking at this about a year ago and just thought, well, the contract's coming up. What do we want to do? Do we want to go through 5 more years of the same 4 problems and possibly more? And or do we want to look for a better solution? So what we did is we went out, we looked for a better solution. Kate, do you want to talk a little bit about how we did that part?
We gathered what was a kind of a common denominator among most libraries on who has what RFID program. Jody was kind enough to collect a few more when she went to the ALA meeting. And so what we did is we invited the top of the candidates and asked them to do a request for quote. We had to follow a rubric. We have accounting rules that we have to follow in order to ask for a quote, in order to determine our process, and everything has to be given a linear process. So we use rubric, we use opinion, we use end users, we look at the cost factor, and for that, we've really done our diligence. And we have to keep this information on hand for 10 years. And so at any point, someone can come back and scrutinize us is to doing it. Some of our big factors we wanted to make sure we were looking at and identifying were, could they work in VDI? Now VDI is our virtual desktop environment. It's basically, think of a computer in the cloud. Our staff use the computer that's right there. It's just really more of a portal, and all the work is done up in the cloud. VDI is very temperamental, and we needed to have a vendor that said, yes, we can do this. That was kind of some of our stumbling blocks for the current vendor, and by doing that, we worked with all of our candidates to see if they had a good proven decision. So we invited Envisionware and FE Technologies, and of course we have Biblioteca currently installed.
And one other vendor was TechLogic, so we went out to 4 vendors for a quote.
Great. TechLogic didn't have any experience with our VDI environment, nor did they seem inclined to want to work with us on our VDI environment. But FE Technologies and Envisionware brought people out, gave us resources, and we were able to prove that it would work on VDI, which is something we should have done 8 years ago. But now we're doing it, and I feel very confident in the decision. Bob, do you want to reveal that?
Yeah, so if I could just start with our goals, because I think it's really
Yes.
important to
Oh,
think
yeah.
of our goals before we get to the vendor that we chose and are asking for your endorsement. Our goal, our philosophy at the library is 5-star customer service. So we wanted a company that believes in 5-star customer service. And we believe we've found one. We've got a great history with this company helping us problem solving, both at the administration level with Jody and I working with a Jody Benninger from this company, as well as techs and tech support. We had a credit card issue just this week in one of our branches, Chaska, and I worked with one of their vendors, one of the techs online, and got that resolved. So great customer service. The second goal was great product. Do we have a great product that we really believe in and that'll work with our VDI environment, will work for our staff, will support us so we can provide better customer service. And then forward-looking technology, things that we can grow with them and develop their product. After our request for quotes, so we put out a quote requesting information from 4 vendors. And just so you know, those 4 vendors are also recommended by Cersei Dynex as compatible with our Symphony software. And that's really important because we want to make sure we're working with a company that can work with our vendor, right? After a great deal of assessment and comparison and testing, we came up with the company Envisionware. We're already a customer of theirs with our print release station and a PC reservation station. And the print release is where people can go in and print off a document or make a copy and pay for it. And then our PC reservation is where they can sign up to use a computer, one of the public computers or a scanner in the library. So we already have a long-term relationship with them. We chose Envisionware because we think their product best fits our service and quality, and the customer service we've received since all this testing has been excellent. So we're really asking for your endorsement for the Envisionware vendor so we can bring this to the county board. And there's more information here, and I'd be glad to answer, or we would be glad to answer any of the questions that you might have about this.
So I know it says that once you get the approval, you'll work on the project, or the contract and the project plan. But just roughly, when would this kind of
It
happen?
has to be May 10th, by May 10th.
Right, but then how long would it take to make the change?
We would be done by May 10th.
Oh, this year?
Go
Oh,
live.
yeah.
Because
okay.
the other contract ends by then, is that right? Or how, when?
The other contract ends on the 12th.
So you
And
just
that's
give
a
yourself a few
weekend,
days.
and we don't want to mess around with
Right.
the weekend, so we're going to do it on the Friday before.
Okay.
On the 10th.
Okay, so it isn't like a huge system installation
No,
kind of thing?
it's not like when we went through and did the operating system.
Yeah, that's what I was
Cersei
thinking,
and
yeah,
Symphony.
okay.
This one is a very, it's, a lot of this data is already collected. It's just really more pushing it out to our images. That's the VDI component. Each library has a setup, and so we just need to get into that and do a lot of testing. It really comes down to spending time to test and get all the hardware in and installed.
So do you have to retag your,
No.
and then for those that you say they had tag problems, are they gonna get replaced, or what's that gonna happen?
Well, there's a variety of tag problems that it could be with the software with Envisionware. We can actually fix the tag problem, or we could reprogram that tag if it's not working, or what we do currently is we would just replace it because we don't have software that can reprogram that.
Right,
We
right.
should be able to fix that.
Okay.
And
And that was
in regards to your previous question, do we have to retag the whole library collection? No, we do not.
Okay.
That was one thing also is with Envisionware, we can go up to like 8 inches, eight pieces of books, material, where before we were kind of limited to about half that. So patrons who have a lot of reading to do for winter reads can just go and stack them all up and off they go. But it also will prevent a lot less repetitive work for our staff. It is fully integrated into our AMH, so we should be fine with that. And one of the things as we were talking about with the gates going off, Envisionware gave us in their suite of software a way to fix that. So I know like Patrick's group is hears the speed go a lot. We'll be able to reduce that and eliminate it hopefully going into the future.
And it doesn't take much training.
Well, part of this quote and part of this whole, bid that they've put in is on-site training for 8 days for our staff.
Yeah.
So it's a full day, it's like a day or two of, putting the equipment in, and then it's 1 whole week and 2 days of the next week of on-site training.
Overall, when you think about functionality and end user experience, our customers, our patrons, they're not going to see much of a difference. The screen will be different, but they'll be able to put more materials there, and it'll just be actually much more forward, fresher feeling. The biblioteca isn't so fresh feeling, but this one is really exciting.
So nice to hear all your excitement and your confidence.
Well, we've been working on it for about 8 months now, so what, the 7th? Yeah, 8 months, 8 months. So.
Well, yeah, that was
Well,
my
actually,
next
we did
question.
8
As a
years.
user, it'll just kind of look different, but I shouldn't have any problem doing it. No.
No, it's pretty intuitive. If you're doing the self-checks, it's pretty intuitive.
Right.
And I think it's quite easy to use. Okay, so we had people at Chanhassen that a little bit older and not experienced with self-checks and not experienced trying all this stuff. And they tested it out, the self-checks, while we were doing comparisons and testing, and they were able to do it successfully. Beth had a couple of different people that really don't handle, they shelve books, but they're not necessarily tech savvy, and they were able to do it successfully. And on the self-checks, I didn't hear of one person that couldn't do it on their own. That's not to say we won't find that one person or something. Well, it's the nature of probability, right?
There's no
On the first
100%.
day will be the first customer, right? Just the law of,
You're going like, oh no.
Murphy's Law, right?
Right.
But,
Well, I've had it just go X, and then, they know me at the library, they go, oh, just go. And then I beep, and it's like, oh, forget about it. Yeah. So hopefully it's no big deal, but that's the kind of quirks that the system
And
has.
it's kind of adds to an unpleasant experience for our patrons.
Yeah.
And especially if they felt like they've checked it out. And that's one thing Envisionware really did have in their software is it takes less time to check it out. It's faster. Where Biblioteca takes so long that when they take it off, it might not have cleared all of the technology behind it to release that tag. So that's another reason. Sorry, IT does get me a little geeky. I apologize.
we
I gotta take
get
it
into
down a
technology,
But it is a very exciting experience, and I do have a great deal of optimism, and I feel very positive about this experience.
From the proposal, I'm always asking this, budget-wise, how much is it costing, and is it much more expensive? I know you had to renew it anyway, so you got to do something anyway, right? Because that thing expires in May. But
And Jody and I had a meeting with Diane in finance today,
Right.
and we're pretty close on that.
Okay.
Jody asked for a budget increase from the county to pay for a portion of that for each year. And then we have the previous contract, and so that amount's been set aside for this.
Okay, all right.
We also had planned a tech equipment purchase rollover. Like each year we buy equipment to replace end-of-life equipment, and last year, 2023, we saved some of that money, quite a big chunk of that money to apply to this. So I think we're looking pretty good. Do you want to add anything to that, Jody, or?
No, I think that covers it. I think in terms of, how much we can say in terms of the bids, it's pretty comparable across vendors,
Right.
I would say. So, either way,
And it
we were gonna
looks
have to
like-
go back, whether we were renewing with a different vendor, we'd be looking at how are we gonna accommodate this.
Yeah, but it looks like as long as the new system is a lot more stable, it's a lot more less work on the to manage all the quirks that the current one
I think
has.
it'll be much easier to manage overall, and time saving is what I think you're getting at.
Right.
And also real estate, these pads are smaller for the staff on their desks. And so the idea, I mean, I don't know if you've ever really walked back like Chanhassen, they're pretty in a small area, like a bank teller space. And having a small pad helps them have more desk space, which is valuable.
Well, just for accuracy's sake, Kate's saying that the pads are about a waffle size or something. No, they're pretty good sized pads. But they're also all in one, so they have all of the component and equipment built inside each box, whereas currently we have two different pieces and multiple wires connecting them to power and multiple wires connecting them to the computer. So this would be less cords, less devices, and they're made in America and made by this company. So, I mean, there's kind of some really good features. And yes, it's smaller than the current pad, but not.
They're not like this, I apologize. But my mind is totally thinking, and one thing is, the less cables you have, the less sources you have for failure. So when you have a single piece of equipment with single lines, it's easier for us to identify the failure or fix it easy. Most of the time, it's just a loose thing here and there for computers.
Okay. So, can I have a motion to pass
I would like
this?
to make a motion to approve the request for the RFID vendor.
And I will second
will-
it.
okay.
And then all in favor say aye. All said aye.
Aye.
We're done with that. And the next one is unfinished and new business. Do you have time for that?
I'll be very brief.
Okay.
I've included just our updated strategic task plan.
Everything in
from-
red.
And everything in red should show progress for 2023. And if you recall, this is the first of a five-year new plan we put in place last year. And I know we don't want to take up too much time. I had asked the branch managers to briefly share a highlight from this, and then I welcome you, obviously, to review the entire document. But Patrick?
For collection team, we ran a diversity audit on the adult collection. You may have remembered I reported about doing it in the youth collection. We did it on the adult collection. We'll do it again next year and compare results.
Paul?
I think several things, but one of them I think is we're going to take a closer look at our teen services and some of the teen programming and things that we've been doing already, and take a little more of a strategic look at that this next year.
And we already heard from adult services. I know one of the big highlights for tech this year was the implementation of auto renewal and text messaging. So it was a huge accomplishment as well. And obviously, that's just touching the surface. There's so much more. So if you do have any brief questions about this, I'm happy to answer. But otherwise, we will wrap 2023 up, and we will, teams are in the process of developing their 2024 tasks and hope to have that all pieced together by February.
Okay. Thank you. Administrative reports. Do you have anything to add?
I will just touch on, it ties a little bit of the budget update with my library director's report, if I can find the right page. Just to note that the final levy and budget was approved by the county board in December. And as Bob noted, we have some additional funding that will be put towards our RFID solution. Some great news in terms of additional collection budget. As you've heard multiple times, we've talked about the increase in processing fees and just general increase in costs and demand for some of, especially the digital collection materials, and obviously print continues to be that way too. So it's great to see an increase. And so I've got those noted in my director's report.
Yeah, mobile hotspot up by 22. Are you buying additional or replacing the existing ones?
They're leased.
Oh, okay.
So it's paying the lease that has been paid for by other things. This is a county commitment to keep this program going.
Okay, sorry. Thank you.
Did I see in the paper that Dakota County is now dropping fines too? So
Correct.
I know we've talked about it round, but how are you kind of keeping that in I mean, I don't want to be the only one in the metro area that still has fines,
there's-
but how that would factor into the budget long-term, so.
So we'll be taking a look at that as we
Okay.
move towards the 2025 budget year
Okay.
process and what that looks like. Because there are only 2 systems left in Melson now currently that charge fines.
Okay,
So-
just 2? Us and,
Who else?
Anoka.
Anoka.
okay,
I
okay.
bet Carver will be last,
Do you?
just
We can't
because
be last.
the county board is a little more conservative.
Has Adopt
It's an
come up
election year.
from our patrons?
It's an election year, so there might be some longer
I would say yes, it has come up from patrons, and I'm looking at all of the branch managers to echo
They
that.
read the paper too.
How much is the fine revenue right now for us?
Currently for 2024, it's budgeted at around 95,000 total for both fines and fees. I don't have the exact number.
I mean, we'll still have
But-
fees, just not the fines.
Right.
So the county would have to come up with $100,000 somewhere.
Less than $1, President.
You go, Jim.
Okay.
And the SMS and, well, not the SMS, but the automatic renewals had a big impact on that
True.
this year.
But FY 23, like a calendar year 23, how much was it that we collected physically for fines, you know?
I don't have the number. I have it in my computer. I don't have it off the top of my head. And we're still finalizing some of those numbers too, because not everything has
I
fully
was just
accounted
curious,
for.
like, you know,
Yeah.
we can say 100,000, but what was the actual number that came in for current calendar year 23 at all?
I want to say it was around 50,000 is where we're sitting at, but I can get you a firmer number as we move forward.
Okay.
Yep.
And that was on fines?
Fines and fees.
Fines and fees together.
Actually, just curious, are you able to separate to fines only? I mean, fees are something that, you know, people will still pay, and that's not being negated. It's the one that we are looking, you know, like other libraries are removing is fines. I'm just curious what it is for us, fines only kind of thing. Is that even possible to separate out?
That's some of the discussion that I'm having with finance, how we best approach that.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. That's it? Thank you. And anything from our divisional director, Nick?
No, not at this time.
Okay, so coming along. Chanhassen, Victoria.
Okay, so if you open up the packet, I have 3 photos I want to highlight. On my report, I want to highlight on page, just lost it. On page 6, our normal Thursday night in Victoria is 50 to 60 people. We had 220 when we did Light Up Victoria. So we're guessing we had 150 people come in to do a craft. So that's just one of the many photos we took.
Where did you put them all?
It was challenging.
Do you have a budget for a shoehorn next year?
Yeah. And then if you want to jump over to page 11, our 2 December programs at Chanhassen, the Channeliers, which are our Chanhassen Choir, drew around 75 people. And then our New Year's Eve party, which our patrons love and our cleaners hate, had around 144 people. So lots of big programming things happened in December at Chanhassen, Victoria. Thank you.
Thanks, Patrick. Next one is Chaska Library.
And on the next page as well, one of our most successful was Home Day Holidays in December. And Jan, you were there. It was a busy day.
It was
for us.
fabulous. They had to stand in line and wait outside to enter.
Yeah. So we had a book sale going, which was super busy, and we had crafts and treats. and Middle School East came in and played holiday music. And it was a great experience. It was a very busy day for us. We've set up a snowball fight zone recently, which has been a lot of fun for kids and less fun for me, who has to scoop up those snowballs afterwards. And Thursday night games have been pulling some people in to just kind of hang out in the library.
Thanks.
It'll be great with the new library.
When is that?
Not this decade.
And we have Norwood Young America, Waconia. I'll just lob you all in the Western guys.
Yep. So, lost my papers here. So all the branch managers together were working on getting the dates firmed up for our book sales for 2024 with our friends groups, and getting that on a single document, the very popular handout. So you'll be seeing that in the next week or two. Staff are also working on compiling the spring program brochure. That will be coming out this next month. We did and I know we're not the only branch that have hosted this, book bingo, but very nice Instagram post from one of the parents saying book bingo was a huge hit with the girls today, and then a picture of the young lady with her book bingo. And we've had this for varying ages as well. I know Serena did a book bingo over at the Waconia Senior Center this past week or two that was well received. A nice thank you note here. It says, thank you for letting me have a Barnes & Noble gift card. So this was a follow-up to summer reading program. I really liked what I got. I had fun deciding what to get, and that's from Olivia. So always just a lot of rewarding feedback that we're getting on the programs and events that we're doing. 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten, as you know, has been revamped and started on January 1st, thanks to funding from the Library Foundation. So what we had previously, when the students would reach different readers, not students because they're pre-K, when they would reach different milestones, they would put a sticker on a sticker sheet. And so this badge book now has got a variety of guided activities and things like that. So we purchased this, our vendor Beanstack, right, the software app that families use for winter reads, for children's summer reading program, and for 1,000 Books for Kindergarten. That vendor had put this book together, and it's very handsome. So brought a copy if you would like to take a look at it afterwards, as that's what has been funded by the Library Foundation. We think
How much
that's
does that cost?
$4.99 per book. So the readers will get that at the beginning of their time and enrollment in the program. And that goes with them along through the 1,000 books that they're reading. So,
Cool.
I think we need to start 1,000 books for adults.
you know, there's different models for different age groups too. You know, 100 books in high school, different, you know, things like that. So the good news is when we decide we want to tackle something like that, we have the infrastructure in place to do that. And quick note on the recruitment for the library assistant at Waconia, Western branches, is that person, we're cautiously optimistic that person is going to accept the position that was offered, and then we'll bump our way through the not the review, but the references process and that kind of thing. So over the next week or two, we hope we'll finally get that vacancy posted, and we'll be back to full staff at the Western branches for the first time in almost a year. It's been a very long, difficult year.
Thanks, Paul.
And kudos to staff for having weathered the storm and pitching in and working alongside each other to get all the desk coverage taken care of. So, thank you.
Thanks. Well, I'm going to start back reading again. I struggle with reading, I don't know why. So I started another book reading, and then I bought an audio book, so I'll see which one works better for me. Yeah, the audiobooks, and there's a 6-book series or 5-book series on Dune. So,
There you go.
see. The only thing that's not here is, I guess, Alan is not here on that Library Foundation of Carver County. Do we know, like, what's happening to that replacement position?
The District 5, Commissioner Fahey's in the process of looking for an appointment for District 5, and we anticipate that within the next couple weeks at one of the next upcoming board meetings that they should have someone in place.
Okay.
So.
And where is our next meeting? I think we had that approved. I
Oh,
just-
it's Carver.
City of Carver.
Okay.
What's that?
City of Carver.
What about it?
The
Oh,
next
our
our
next
next
Our
meeting.
next meeting.
Okay. Is that in that little, on that little street?
Yes, and we'll be in the new City Hall building upstairs.
Right.
There's a conference room.
Parking's
I don't know if
over
I've been
there,
there.
so be ready to go get there. and-
Well, it's February, it could be all snowed in, but we'll see.
Well, we
Say it with
have- we always
confidence so far.
have Zoom backup, right?
That's about it. Any other matters? Any other business? No other business? Can we have a motion to end the meeting?
I make a motion, we end the meeting, but I want to say thank you for being a wonderful president for
Haven't done
us
anything. I
for 2
just like-
years.
I wish I had a gavel, I really, but hey, it's good.
Hand me the gavel, yeah.
Is there one up here?
I'm just kidding. I do. And second, and all in favor, say aye.
I'll second an aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. It was fun.